Good morning, everybody, from a really windy and kind of chilly day here in Central Portugal. The sun is shining though, and it's beautiful. And my goal for today is to break some stones around the land, move them around, because I'm borrowing this handy dandy trolley from a friend and I only have it for about another week, so I need to get that done. And then we're gonna tackle the tool shed foundation. But before I get to that, let's take a little peek back into the greenhouse because it's been a while since my last video. I've been having a hard time settling back into the filming routine after taking a bit of time away from the camera. And the most exciting part is this party of sunflowers that's popping up right here. And so I'm gonna have to get to that garden bed pretty soon. I've got more over here, and I feel like I'm gonna be able to make a really amazing wall of sunflowers. It's gonna be really beautiful in the garden. I feel like there might be some sign of life with sweet corn. And yeah, everything's looking really, really wonderful. So the plant babies are on their way. The garden is almost ready for them. The tool shed work is about to get started, but since it's so cold and windy out here, I'm gonna start the day with a win. I've finally finished the bathroom shelves inside the house, and so we're gonna go in there, give them a little stain, and I'll show you what I've done because I'm really quite happy with how they've turned out. So as usual, things are still very crazy in the house. Until I get this wardrobe finished at some point in the future, it's just gonna be chaos. One thing I just noticed is I've got grass growing out of the wall. I'm gonna leave that there just out of interest. I guess until the clay actually dries, there is a potential for any grass seeds that are in there to sprout, and that's always a possibility, but it's definitely not a big deal. So, the shelves are on. This is the back part. This is eventually going to be covered up by some kind of a wardrobe that comes out to about here. So I didn't need to worry too much about making this part pretty. And then on the other side, I feel like I've accomplished something that I'm really proud of. I think it looks great, and it's going to look even better once I get some linseed oil on it so that the color matches the rest of it. So this is a 50-50 mix turpentine with linseed oil. And linseed oil is a fabulous material. It's natural and it helps protect the wood from bugs, and it also helps waterproof it a little bit. And the turpentine just allows it to dry faster and sink into the wood a little bit more deeply. But before I get to the actual staining, I've got to do some cleaning of this clay. Luckily, clay is a forgiving material and comes off fairly easy with a little bit of elbow grease, so I'm going to work at tidying this all up, and then we'll get it oiled. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better, so let's stain. And hopefully the color change is pretty drastic and matches with the stuff on the left and the right. Yeah, so that's great. It brings out the grain. It has this kind of funny orange color, which I really like. And I guess in all honesty, I don't really know much about using stains, so because I'm familiar with this turpentine linseed oil thing, it's just what I always use, and so my place is going to end up being really quite orange as far as all the woodwork goes, but I think it looks great, and I'm quite happy with that, and I do love a bit of consistency, so yeah, no complaints for me. And I just like how the different sort of panels that I used pops a bit, the different grains show up kind of against each other, and you can see that a little bit of extra effort has gone into this. I definitely could have put just some piece of, I don't know, wood on the back, one solid piece, but I wanted to match what I have going on down here with these sort of smaller panel things that I've used. So yeah, it's turning out really wonderfully, I think. And in this case, I feel like the extra effort has been worth it. So I'm gonna just keep at it with the staining, and I'll check in again once it's done. And then after that, we're gonna go break some rocks. Okay, job done. That didn't take too long, and I think the oil looks great. I'm so happy with how this has turned out. The shelves look excellent. They're going to be nice and functional. I've also given another once-over with the linseed oil on the bathroom counter, which is looking good, and I linseed oiled this piece as well. So overall, I really couldn't be happier with how this looks and with how the bathroom is coming along as a whole. There's still a little bit more to do in the bathroom corner. Obviously, this wall needs to be final plastered. That's not going to come until close to the end of this whole project when I do all the walls at once. I also need to lay some tiles at the base of the walls in here, and that's going to come on a rainy day because right now the sun is shining and I'm eager to get outside and to start up again on the tool shed project. So it's definitely a lot nicer out here now. The sun is shining, the temperature is perfect, it's less windy. Larry seems to be enjoying this day. How's it going, kind sir? Are you doing well? Are you enjoying this season? I think he loves it. I know I do. It's a beautiful time of the year. So I've got Mega Drill ready and my plug-in feathers, which is a tool that I'll use to split some gigantic stones into smaller, more manageable pieces to be able to move them around the land. I've also set up a few things over here. These are going to have the long pieces of wood for the tool shed on them because I've got some sanding and things to do. I've got something very strange in mind for this piece of wood that's related to the tool shed. And then, before I get into any of that stuff, I want to just unveil the wood. I've got all of these glorious pieces that have been wrapped up since it's been raining for a while. And now that the sun's shining, I'm ready to get everything ready, get everything set up, stage my work site. And I'm gonna do it with a snap. Okay, done, and this is such a big relief to see this space cleared out. Well, sort of cleared out. There's still obviously a lot of stones and things, but I've organized, I've trimmed, and most importantly, I've unfurled the wood and laid out these long pieces, which is gonna help me with planning the structure later on. I've also trimmed over here and along the neighbor's property line as well because they like to spray and plow. So the guy does the plowing, and then whatever the plow can't get to on the edges of the terrace, the neighbor comes by with poison and sprays, and I'd rather him not do that, so I've trimmed for him, and hopefully that means he won't use the spray. Hello, sir. How's it going? You enjoying the shade? Cats are really loving the weather, and so am I, and the day is actually getting on. As usual, I'd intended to get way more done today, but it's been a sort of a stoppy-starty kind of day. I met a friend at the cafe, I ran a couple errands, and I've also been doing some online writing work which has a deadline. So I've been kept busy, and I'll probably call it quits soon to return to the online work. But before I do, let's go hunting for stones. Because I have one more piece of the foundation puzzle to finish, I want to get one long stone or maybe two shorter stones in here. I'm not happy with these two, so they can go away. And I'm not happy with any of the stones, believe it or not, that are in this pile. And so now that I have this new piece of land, I have more stones. So let's take a walk and see if I can find something that's gonna fit. So I'm looking for something around 40 centimeters wide by about 15 centimeters high. This one could be an okay candidate, but I don't like the rough, mossy face. It just wouldn't match very well with the rest of the tool shed foundation. And that actually could be a problem with all these stones. They've sort of been sitting on the wall for who knows how long, gathering moss and getting kind of craggly. Craggly, I don't think is a word. I don't know what my intention is. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but that's the thing with stones. When you see the perfect stone, you kind of know it. You just sort of feel it in your bones. It's quite weird, and I always do a little celebration in my soul when I find that perfect stone. I suppose I could try to clear off the mossy stuff if I needed to, but I don't know. I feel like they've been here for a long time, so I might as well leave them in place. This one could be a candidate, but I feel like I'm happy with that one there. So nothing doing on the wall, and probably nothing really doing in here either. Not a lot of choice. The wall actually collapsed ages ago. A tractor came down the track and knocked it down. So it's not the sturdiest thing, but Yeah, it does seem to be holding up the road, so that's a good thing. Anyway, I don't think I see anything I can use down here, but I have another idea. So by using the mega drill and the plug and feathers, I actually have the ability to cut stone fairly easily. It involves a lot of drilling and then a lot of tapping, but it's a lot easier to break them than you'd think, and it's really super satisfying. So I have a pile of stones right here. Let's see if I have any candidates. So the most important part of the stone is having one decent face. The rest of it I can chop off. So this one is probably a bit too long and a bit too thick. The length I could shorten easily, the thickness I can't really do much about. And yeah, the rest of them kind of seem like they're not going to work either. They're sort of funny shapes. So I could be out of luck up here, but wait, I think I see a stone down there that could work. So this is the stone I saw from up there, and I don't know, I don't think it's as good as I thought it was. It's going to be quite a bit too long, and I think it's going to be better used for maybe edging a garden bed or something like that. So I'm trying to find some balance of finding stones that are close to what I need and won't also be useful somewhere else. So basically I'm just on the hunt for stones, and I'm going to keep at it until I find one. I have a few more places I could look, including the tops of terraces. You can see that some stones have fallen down. This one is enormous, and I've been meaning to break that up for years probably. So maybe I'll get lucky, find one in an easy spot. I also have stones up top that could work. But I'm going to do the hunt off camera and then get everything set up for work tomorrow, because as I mentioned, I have some online work to do tonight, and I think I'm going to call it quits on work outside for the day once I find a stone. So it's a beautiful evening. The neighbors are out doing a burn pile down there. And yeah, I'll say goodbye from this glorious night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a stone ready to go in the wall and with more tool foundation work on my agenda. It's a brand new day. It's another beautiful one, and it's time to get back to the grind. Literally, I think I'm going to use the grinder for this task, because I found what I think is the perfect stone, and it only has kind of a little bit of a thin piece to go off on this side, so that's not really what the plug and feathers tool is designed for. It's more for cutting through the thicker stuff and actually splitting it into pieces. So the grinder is what I need. This is the stone I have, and then I have this little one for over there, and hopefully I can make it work. Okay, let's cut some stone. Okay, the stones are in place, and with the leftover mortar, I ended up just sort of chucking it into gaps and holes that I hadn't filled in past times when I worked on this, and it's slowly coming together. So this is definitely not a typical foundation. It's sort of a janky rubble trench style foundation. And it looks weird, it looks uneven, and it's supposed to be like that because of the idea I have in my head. And for anybody who's new to my channel, you might be looking at that thinking that it's crazy, but for anyone that's been watching for a while, you probably know that I come up with very strange ideas and somehow pull it all off in the end, and so that's what I'm hoping for this time as well. And as part of my crazy idea, I've got this piece of wood that I'm going to chop into 4 pieces to use as a sort of base plate on the corner for the posts to sit onto. I'm going to bolt it into the stone, but that's going to happen another day because it's getting late in the day, I'm getting tired, and when it gets to be this time, I don't really like working on things where I have to think too much. So I'm going to do something that just requires brute force, and I'm going to head down to the bottom terrace to deal with a stone that I've been looking at for years since I bought the place, and it's been annoying me for a very long time, and I'm going to see if I can split it. How are you enjoying the sunshine, little dude? He's been sleeping all day, looking nice and relaxed and enjoying some rays. So I'm going to take Mega Drill and all of the other tools that I need down to the bottom terrace and see about breaking this stone into a bunch of pieces. Just look at this gorgeous clean terrace, the happy mulched trees. I'm coming for that back part soon enough. It's going to be very rewarding when I clear that because it's such a mess right now. So here's what I'm trying to do. We've got this massive stone, and I don't even really know how big it is, that's fallen from the terrace. This happened before I even moved in here, so it's been sitting like this for over 5 years. And there's another smaller one over there. And what I'd like to do is prop them up on other stones, see what I'm dealing with, and then see if I can chop it into a few slices that'll make it more manageable to move around the land, to then use up in the garden where I want to make some stone garden beds. So this isn't a job that I particularly want to be doing right now because I just have so many other things to do, especially in the garden. But since my friend is loaning me this trolley, and since the purpose of the trolley is to move these giant rocks around back up to the top terrace or to the garden to be used, it's now or never really. So that's maybe a good kick in the pants to actually get going on this. And I am actually kind of looking forward to it to see what it looks like under here. So first things first, I need to take the amazing rock bar, one of the most useful tools I have, and believe it or not, I should be able to prop this so it comes off the ground a little bit. So you can see that this is an enormous rock, but I'm hoping that it's no match for the iron bar and a bit of leverage. This one might be a bit too humongous. Yeah, it's actually really thick. Okay, this rock is way too big for me to mess around with, I think. Let me try again. No, I don't think this beast of a stone is going anywhere. I did bring the shovel down just in case I had to dig it out around the edges, but I can see how thick this is and how heavy it's going to be, even with the power of leverage. So I think I'll try the smaller one. Okay, stone, don't let me down. Yay! All right, so this one's moving pretty easily. I'm going to get another stone underneath that, and then hopefully I can get it cut. In we go. So this is going to be pretty hard to drill so close to the wall, so I'm going to spend a little time, move the stone away from the wall, and set things up ready to chop this into 2 or maybe 3 pieces. Okay, the stone is moved away from the wall and I flipped it over. It's amazing what you can do with the power of an iron bar, leverage, and pivot points. And though these stones are big, they're actually a lot easier to move around than you might think. But it's going to be even easier to move once I cut it into 2 pieces. So let's drill. So I should definitely be a bit more accurate and draw a straight line across here with a pencil and try to get all the holes directly in line. But this rock isn't that thick, so I don't think it's going to be as important. And I'm feeling lazy and can't be bothered, so I'm just going to drill 5 holes, and then I'll explain the rest of the process in a little bit. Okay, these are what's called plug and feathers, and basically it's a tool used for splitting rocks, and it's a very powerful tool despite just being a couple pieces of metal. So the drill bit that I used should in theory be slightly larger than this, and what you do is you just place each plug and feathers into the hole facing the same way, the way that the rock wants to split, and then you tap them in, and as you tap, the rock should, in theory, come apart. It's a very enjoyable job. It's an amazing little tool. You can split entire boulders using this tool. I've seen some YouTube videos on it. Yes, that's the kind of thing that I watch sometimes. People splitting giant rocks with plug and feathers. I should probably get a life. But once I do this, maybe you'll also become enamored with them in the same way I am. I'd go so far to say that this is another different kind of tool of joy. I really love it. And yeah, let me just give you a little demo. Okay, last one in the hole. There you go. And this should be a pretty easy rock to split because it is so narrow, or it's not very thick. Although that could be famous last words, and I might regret saying that. I love it so much, and once these plugs get in just a little farther, they start to make the most magical noise. Ah, it's magic. I love this tool so much. And that's good news because I have a lot of rock splitting in my future. So that was very satisfying, but I am wondering if perhaps this rock is still going to be too big to move around. If I can get it up to the garden, it's going to make an amazing edge for the garden bed, which is what my goal is for most of the rocks that I'm going to be hauling around. They're going to the garden. This one is much more manageable, and it'll definitely be easy to move and useful. So the trolley's down here ready to go, but it's getting late, I'm getting tired, and I have a bunch of online writing work to do this evening, so I'm gonna call it quits on work today. If anyone's curious, by the way, of what online writing I'm doing, I work for my friend Javi. He has a fabulous tour company in East Africa. You can check out their website up here. So on the off chance that anyone out there is planning a trip to the region and wants to take an amazing tour, check them out. And it's really nice working with Javi and also getting to revisit all these places he goes to, because I used to live in East Africa, and it's just nice to see the trips he's running and write about things that I remember from my time there. So I've got work to do tonight. I'm happy with what I got done today, and I'll be seeing this stone later on, moving things around. And I'll see you tomorrow for maybe some garden work or possibly some work on the tool shed. So, good night from this beautiful evening. Oh, not the tool shed, sorry. The Craic Shack. I need to get that into my head that that's the new name. Okay, I've basically just been spinning around for ages. Goodbye. See you tomorrow. Hello from a new morning. It's about 10 a.m. and I have a whole bunch of stone moving in my future. I have 2 hours before I have to head out somewhere, and I thought I would just put the camera away and focus on moving stones around the land so that I can completely transform this garden bed. My plan for this bed, and also this one over here, which is a disaster for another day, has always been to line the whole thing with stones fairly high up and to make a lovely raised bed. It hasn't happened. I didn't really have the motivation, I suppose, but now I do. I'm feeling good, and I'd love to just power on with moving stones and getting as many in the side of this bed as possible. It also is going to involve moving soil because I've decided that I don't actually want to use this bed as a garden bed. I just want it maybe for trees and possibly sunflowers, and so I'm going to make it a lot more narrow, and that's going to give me a bit more space to walk past the plum tree as well. And making this garden bed more narrow is going to involve moving a whole lot of soil. Fortunately, I'm planting some raised beds in the garden, so I have a place to move it to, and the destination for this morning isn't so far away. It only needs to travel a short distance to here, which is going to be my future sweet corn bed, and that's going to involve a lot of wheelbarrowing, so I've got a whole bunch of humphing in my future today. Wheelbarrowing, which I love, moving stones on the trolley, which I love less, but I like the results. And I'm just gonna do it off camera. So this is where I'm at now with this garden bed, and hopefully in a couple hours when I see you again, it's gonna be totally transformed. Okay guys, I'm back, and after about a couple of hours of pretty solid work, the transformation is not complete, but it's definitely underway. I've basically been moving stones from around the land, but I also forgot that way back in the day, one of the very first things that I did on the land was making this raised bed, and that's basically when I cleared out the topsoil on my top terrace to make my parking area. So all this stuff down here was originally up there, and now it's being moved over there, where I've actually had to make another raised no-dig bed because I had so much soil to find a place for. So that's definitely not a bad thing. I have loads of seedlings up in the polytunnel, and the more space I have down here, the better. In previous years, I've often said that I'm gonna have a small garden, but it generally gets away from me and it gets pretty big. But this year I've decided I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna go bigger than I ever have before, and so that extra bed there is gonna come in handy, and I'm also probably gonna add a few more as well. But back to this bed, when I originally made this 5 years ago, I'd actually put down geotextile fabric and a whole bunch of small stones. So the bed was raised up to maybe about there, and I want to go quite a bit higher this time. So I've dug those stones out, which I might put around this bed. I'm going to make it a little wider. This is going to be the path. It's going to be moved over a bit, and then I have loads of stones that I've carted up from the bottom terraces to use along the front of this one. So it's been a very successful flurry of work this morning, and yeah, I'm pleased to have all these stones up here, and this is going to be a fun project to work on, but it's not going to happen today. And that's because I'm heading out shortly, and then in the afternoon and possibly tomorrow as well, I have this online writing work to do still. So that's taking me away from work on the land and in the garden. But YouTube is fun, but it doesn't pay all my bills, so I do enjoy doing a little bit of online writing work where I can get it, and yeah, it helps out. And it's nice to, as I mentioned before, work with a friend on their business. But before I say bye from this video, I wanted to check in again about this thing. My idea is to make base plates to basically sit on the bottom of the 4 posts. It's going to make sense why I'm doing it this way as I work, and I'll explain it later on. But one thing I'm not sure of is whether or not these plugs are going to be big enough. They have to go into the stone. I'm hoping that's enough, and the bolts will be sunk, so they'll be long enough, I think. But it's going to be interesting to work on. I'm not 100% sold on the idea. I don't see any reason why it's not going to work. But yeah, anytime you do something for the first time, it's a little nerve-wracking. So the tool shed is underway. Those stones are in place, and I'm going to be getting started on the woodwork very soon. So things are about to get even busier with lots of repotting to do. I've got seedlings on the way that need to go to larger pots. Loads of work in the greenhouse, including building in the greenhouse, which is going to be fun, making the raised beds. And then loads of work on the Craic Shack. I think I called it the tool shed again, but it's not the tool shed, it's the Craic Shack. And for anybody out there wondering what the heck I'm talking about, craic is a word, an Irish word for fun, and it's going to be a little shed where I do food prep and host parties from, and have a little gathering spot up there outside of the shed. So it has become the Craic Shack because the tools are currently stored in the Tully Tower. So lots coming up. I'm excited. I hope you are too. I'm going to say goodbye from this video, and I'll see you in the next one.